The minute I let go of all my expectations in life, all the goals, all the achievements, everything started to flow with a lot greater results.
You see, there's a little bit of a flawed premise there, and we're going to explain to you why what you did began to work for you. But you heard us say that through sifting through life that you project these rockets of desires about what you want. So your goals are emanating from you, and you cannot ever let go of them because you've launched them and your inner being has hold of them, and they are real and they are valid and they are attractive in nature. But when you said, I let go of my expectations and goals, what you actually did was you let go of the resistance around them. You didn't give up your goal, you gave up your resistance to them. And sometimes it takes, and that's what we've been talking about all day here today, it takes not thinking about it to let go of it at first. In a while, you'll be able to sift and sort, and you'll be able to think about what you want in a way that is just delicious to you, and you won't bring negative expectations into the equation. But in the beginning, just by not thinking about it, by letting go of it altogether, which of course you really didn't, but you let go of the resistance to it, then things began to flow. Does that make sense
That's
to you?
exactly right. That's exactly right. It's just like beyond my wild imagination. I'm here because I'm thinking, how is it that in my studio, in the arts, in whatever I achieve, in whatever I get involved in, great things happen. But what about my relationship? I feel so stuck for so many years, and I have tried.
Before you get the vibration going too strong in the direction of something that you don't want, let's talk about this, because it's not uncommon for something to be working in one area and not another. It just has to do with your beliefs about it. But this is the reason that in the area of what you call the arts, it was easier for you to click in without even really knowing what you were doing, feel your way into alignment. And it's because when you think of something that's creative, you usually think of something that is inspired. And you showed yourself early on in your process that when you tried too hard, you messed it up. And that when you let go, that it flowed through you. And so it was just an avenue that was easier for you to notice when you were doing that thing that doesn't work and when you were doing that thing that does work. That's all. People who are writing music or lyrics or even authors often, or athletes, when they get into the zone, they can feel when it clicks in. They don't necessarily know what they did to get there, but they recognize when they are there. And so over time, you know that just by getting into your studio, getting into the mindset of allowing it to flow through you, it's just easier for you to think of creativity flowing through you. But what you haven't realized is that everything is creativity. That it's all about energies, and it doesn't matter whether it's something that's being inspired through your paintbrush onto the canvas, or whether it's something that's being inspired through your thought, to your tongue, that it's all creativity. You got to stop doing that thing that's holding you in that. You offered some very powerful words. Expectation is a very powerful word. Expectation combines desire and belief. That's really what an expectation is. And a lot of people have more positive desire in their expectation than they do negative belief. In other words, their expectation is that they can succeed. And so that's why they do. Or their expectation is that they can't, and so that's why they don't.
Where I am right now is I don't even know what I want, because if I go this direction, I feel doubt, and if I go this other direction, I feel doubt.
You're not ready to make a decision about any of that, but consider this, because this is the biggest piece of the answer to your question. When you think of you and your creativity, it's just you and your impulse and your inspiration. But when you're talking about a relationship, now there's somebody else, and they could mess it up. That's kind of the way you look at it. And not only could they mess it up, but because you think they could mess it up, then you mess it up. Doesn't it feel more free to take your paintbrush and paint on a canvas than it is to coordinate with somebody else about where you're going to have dinner tonight? Or.
I mean, just coordinating dinner, but just life with many things.
So many layers.
So many negative layers that have happened.
But they don't have to stay active. They don't have to be active now. One day, a woman sat here and she was really worried about her mother, worried about the trouble that she had been having with her mother for years. And she was just all full of this trouble and all wadded up. And she went on for quite a while. We could hardly slow her down. And then we began looking for her mother. We were sure that she must be here somewhere, because she couldn't get her mind off of her and she couldn't stop thinking and talking about her. But her mother was nowhere around, but she just had the habit of using those thoughts to introduce resistance into her equation. So we're going to ask you, do you feel that you have any thoughts that you introduce into the equation of your art that are resistant in nature? No. It might be worth thinking about why, but mostly it's because there's no one else involved. But that's not true in a relationship. So what we must convince you of, if you are to have success in anything that you're doing with any other, and really everything that you're doing is with someone other in one way or another, is we must convince you that it's your energy and your energy alone. It's your mix of vibration and your mix of vibration only that matters. It's not what the other person is doing. It's what you're doing. It's only what you're doing. And we know that you have knee-jerk reactions to what the other is doing. We understand that, but you don't need to. And if you were more in sync with who you are, and if you were looking at this person through the eyes of Source, then you would feel so much better. So it isn't even what the other is doing or has done that is causing your resistance. It's the difference between your desire and your belief that is causing the resistance. It feels like it's what they're doing. It isn't. It's your perspective of what they're doing. It's your belief that what they're doing is affecting you. And it's your allowance of what they're doing that affects your vibration. We've been following this pattern through for a few years, as we say, when you look at someone or something that pleases you and you are pleased and you say, oh good, I want more of that. But when you look at something that doesn't please you and you say, oh no, I don't want more of that, but you're really saying, give me more of that, because your attention to it brings it into your vibration. So the truth of it is that others around you cannot buck the current of your expectation about them. Don't you know that about some people that are that way with you? Haven't you jumped through some hoops with some people only to discover that as soon as you get that hoop figured out, that they'll put another one out there for you, that there's just not enough that you can do, because it's not really about you, it's only about them, you see.
That's what my husband says about me.
Well, he would be right.
And there's the thing, codependency, I guess. Everything he does affects me so powerfully, and I'm trying to separate that.
But you know why that is? When you really, really want something, and your perspective is that it's not moving in the direction of your desire, it's really, really, really uncomfortable. And if you don't care about it, and you perceive it's not moving in the direction, then you don't care. When something really matters to you, when you feel strong negative emotion, that is an indicator that you really do care about this, but that you are crossways of your own desire. And if you believe that you're crossways of your own desire because you're observing something in another that keeps you crossways of your desire, but we want to convince you that no matter what the other is doing, you don't need to be crossways of your desire. You know the mindset that you have to get into in order for your art to flow through you. Well, you're going to have to find some mindset in order to allow your relationship to flow through you. And it's a lot of the same elements. It's positive expectation. We know that you never go to that canvas and pick up your brush and say, well, this is the ugliest palette of paint I've ever seen. I'm not going to be able to make anything good out of these paint colors. Or what's wrong with this brush? I'll never be able to do anything with this brush. It's just got so many straggling strands of hair on it that all I'm going to do is make a big mess. Oh, well, I've set this time aside. I might as well just start painting. You'd get ready to get ready. You don't walk in to a time of painting when your head's all tangled around like that. And yet with relationships, you do that all the time. You remember things that didn't go well and you chew them over in your mind, and you think about what you said and you think about what the other said, or more, you think about what somebody else said about what they witnessed or whatever. When your energy's all tangled up, it really is like going into paint with a brush that's all distorted and with paint that you don't even like the colors of. That's what I mean. You got to get ready to get ready to get ready to get ready. And through the years, we've offered a lot of techniques and processes, especially relative to relationships, like making lists of positive aspects and so forth. But the thing about that is, it has the potential of activating what's wrong, because when you're trying to think about what you want, often what it does is remind you of what you've got, and then there's just discord and dissatisfaction because you don't have what you want. And so there's only one way to this. There's only one way to anything that you want, and it is that you must clean up your energy first. And sometimes people will say, well, Abraham, this has happened and this has happened and this has happened, and do you think I should just separate myself from this person or from this job or from this situation? And sometimes we say yes, if the momentum is such and depending on what's going on in the vibrational mix. But we always say, if you're going to leave this person because these things are bothering you, then you better get out of town too. Because there's things that bother you in this town, and you better get out of this state and out of this nation and off this planet, and now we don't know where to send you, because the truth of it is you take yourself everywhere you go. And so as you talk about all of these layers and layers and layers and layers, they're just experiences that you have had that are still active to some degree, that keep being present in your day-to-day experience, that don't need to be active but are, because you let them be active. And we know it feels to a lot of you, no, I'm not the one keeping it active. The other one is the one that's keeping it active. And we say it always takes two. If you have meditated and cleaned up your vibration, and meditated and cleaned up your vibration, and meditated and cleaned up your vibration, so there's nothing active about that with you, and the other one joins you in a moment in time of manifestation, and the other one's all over something and really got a strong activation about it, you will at least will not throw gasoline on the fire. But if the other one has something active and you do too, it's like a bomb going off. A big bomb goes off every time your energy meets their energy. It's an exponential adding together of the momentum. So if you decide that you're going to start entering those manifested moments, all tuned in, tapped in, turned on, not aggravated and agitated because you've taken enough time, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, to take the edge off of yourself, so you're not taking your fight to the party, then even if the other comes ready to fight, if you're not there to defend yourself, in other words, if somebody's offensive towards you and you're not defensive about it, then there's no explosion. Then you haven't poured gasoline on the fire. Then there's a diffusion of it, you see. They will just not keep doing their part if you don't keep doing your part. What you don't know is you're feeding the fire and they're feeding the fire. But when one of you stops, the fire will go out.
That's true. What I've decided, and I made a decision, is I'm going to take a trip around the world for a year to just change the vibration. Traveling is what I feel the happiest, the most connected
we do
with
not
the world.
disagree that that's a good idea, except for this. You will be taking yourself with you. And there is this thing that happens where when you do something that's extreme like that, that's extreme.
Not for me.
When you do something that's extreme like that, there is a part of you that justifies it. I need the space. I need to separate myself from this. Well, now you're not separated from that, because in your attention to what you're separating yourself from, it's on the ship with you.
Okay, what it is I've been spending so much time in this relationship that I decided that I have forgone some of my dreams and desires, and some of it is traveling.
We're not trying to talk you out of it, but we really want you to hear this. Everything that anyone wants, no matter who it is, and no matter what it is that they want, whether it's a material object or a pile of money or an improved relationship or an improved business, no matter what anybody wants, the reason they want it is because they believe they will feel better. They believe that there will be more satisfaction in it. We're just saying to you, if you don't show yourself that you can find satisfaction right where you are, you'll be on another ship the rest of your life. Another and another and another and another and another.